is NBC Connecticut News at 11.
Right now at 11, a life lost in this home explosion in Bloomfield. The house left flattened, but neighbors say the loss goes far beyond the damage that you see here, how they're remembering the man killed. Plus, she was out in the cold for 3 hours. A month after this 93-year-old woman wandered out of her Windsor Locks nursing home and died, the state is now taking action. How families are feeling tonight. And what's going on with the lights on Route 9? That's what we are asking the DOT after hearing from some of you about driving in the dark. And a sight you just have to see. This bear was looking for some fun, and it found it on a trampoline in Plainville. But first,
UConn is back in the Big East semifinals for the 6th straight year. Coming up, we'll show you how the Huskies did against a Georgetown Hoyas squad they have had plenty of success against here at the world's most famous arena.
and that's exactly where we're starting tonight. Thanks so much for joining us for the news at 11. I'm Keisha Grant. They may not have won the regular season title, but the UConn men are looking to be top dogs in the Big East tournament. NBC Connecticut's Matt Satilli is joining us live from Madison Square Garden. Matt, they certainly look like that in the second half of this game.
Yes, they did, Keisha. The celebration just underway as the game just wrapped, but it was pretty businesslike for the Huskies because they did what good teams do, what teams that have won national titles 2 out of the last 3 years do. Beat teams they're supposed to beat in March. UConn goes wire to wire against Georgetown, beating the 11th-seeded Hoyas 67-51 to punch their ticket to Saturday night's Big East title game. UConn led the whole way, and while Georgetown trimmed the deficit to 8 in the second half, the game really never felt like it was in jeopardy. Freshman Braylon Mullins led the way with 21 points. That is the most for the freshman since he went for 25 last month against Creighton. He also made some hustle plays like preventing a wide-open dunk for Georgetown in the second half. It wasn't the game that you tell your grandkids you were at, but it's what you got to do in March. Play well enough to survive and advance. After UConn spoiled a chance to win a share of the regular season title last weekend against Marquette, they'll have a shot at a trophy tomorrow night. And it is the rematch that everybody has been looking forward to. The rubber match between UConn and St. John's, the two teams that have been the class of the conference all season long. And it'll be at the Red Storm's home gym. We'll see if Storrs South can show up for the Huskies tomorrow night. It'll be must-see TV. Coming up in sports, we'll have more on how the Huskies were able to get it done. But for now, reporting live at Madison Square Garden, Matt Satilli for NBC Connecticut News. Keisha?
Matt, thank you. This just into the NBC Connecticut newsroom. New power is now flowing into New England's electric grid. The Revolution Wind project off the coast of Rhode Island is up and running after several delays and legal battles. It's set to provide power to more than 350,000 homes and businesses here in Connecticut and in Rhode Island. Tonight, families of patients at a Windsor Locks nursing home are scrambling to find their loved ones a new place to live after a mandate from the state. It all stems from an investigation into the death of this 93-year-old woman who walked out of the facility into below freezing temperatures last month. She wasn't found until 3 hours later. NBC Connecticut's Jane Chaco tells us what's next for these residents.
I just hope she's happy where she's going.
Jean Lisi visits her friend who has lived at Bickford Healthcare Center for 8 years, but she now must relocate to another facility within the next month as part of an order from the state social services agency.
There's a couple in the area. There's 2 over in East Windsor, 1 in Windsor. I just hope she doesn't get sent farther than that.
This move is happening because the Department of Public Health found 14 instances where proper care was not provided after a 93-year-old resident with dementia wandered out of the facility in the middle of the night in February. Police say staff found Margaret Healy in a snowbank when the wind chill was 15 below. 3 hours after she left through an employee door. DPH says staff did not call police in time or adequately supervise her. The investigation also said a risk evaluation dated November 2025 said Healy, quote, made statements that she was leaving and displayed behaviors that may indicate an attempt to leave.
I think they just couldn't get over the catastrophic breakdown in their systems. that happened that allowed my aunt to die.
The head of the state's social services department said, quote, "This order reflects our commitment to ensuring that the individuals who call Bickford home are moved to safe, appropriate settings as quickly and compassionately as possible." But lawmakers like Jeff Gordon say families should have more time to figure out what's next for their loved ones.
They're giving 30 days or so for them to be moved to another place. I don't know how easy that's going to be. Where's the availability, the type of care these people need? Might these people now be moved far away from family?
Well, those are certainly all valid questions, Jane, and that's on top of the cost, which can be staggering. And then the demand is so high that the wait lists are there for facilities that you may find that you can afford. Is the facility doing anything to try to help these families?
So the state has ordered the manager at Bickford to help these patients find new homes and also oversee their transfer, which means making sure they get to that new facility safely.
Well, we have seen that there are a lot of families affected here. The deadline is about a month away from now. What happens if there's still some people in need in a month?
So this is all clearly laid out in that order. If they don't get them by that April 10th deadline to a new facility, they are ordered to give a timeline to the Department of Social Services of when those residents can be moved. And if they don't do it in time, they could be at risk of losing their Medicaid funding or risk of losing their license and stop. And they could face a monetary fine as well.
Well, obviously, this is a tough situation, a challenge for those families, but at its core, heartbreaking for that 93-year-old woman who lost her life. Yeah. Jane, thank you. We're going to stay on top of this story. Also tonight, do you happen to remember this trench collapse in Norwich? This happened back in June. We told you about it on Hamilton Court. It claimed the life of a 60-year-old man. Michael DeRocco was a loving father and grandfather. Friends describe him as the life of the party. He went to work that day to connect a private sewer line with the city line and never made it home. Now, 8 months later, police have arrested the owner of the plumbing company. Almacar DeAndre is now facing several charges, including manslaughter. Investigators are trying to figure out what led to the deaths of 2 people in Hebron. They were found inside an apartment on Main Street after police reported some type of a disturbance. That multi-family home is right next to Brick Cantina, a Mexican restaurant. They took to social media today to say they are devastated by the incident that directly impacted the Brick Cantina family. People in that community are in disbelief.
Shock, concern for neighbors and students, and that ripple effect that occurs when you think about, okay, this happened in the community that never happens in at all. You would never expect it.
Now, police have not said how the people died, but they do tell NBC Connecticut there is no threat to the general public there. Now to New Haven, where racist and anti-Semitic graffiti messages were found in a restroom at Hillhouse High School. The principal calls yesterday's discovery deeply troubling. He says the school is built on kindness, respect, and humanity, and hateful messages won't be tolerated. The man who sold the suspect the gun used in yesterday's attack at Old Dominion University in Virginia is now under arrest. Federal investigators say 32-year-old Kenya Chapman admitted to stealing it from a car and selling it to the suspect for $100. He was also investigated for the illegal purchase of 3 guns in 2021, 2 of which were linked to a homicide. The gun used yesterday killed Army Lieutenant Colonel Brandon Shaw. The ROTC instructor enlisted in the Army in 2003 and had been deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan. 2 other people were hurt, one of them critically. Authorities say the suspect was stabbed while being subdued by students in the class and later died. Tonight, the FBI says there is no indication that attack in Virginia is connected to the one at a synagogue in West Bloomfield, Michigan. Authorities have also confirmed the identity of the suspect.
The FBI has forensically confirmed that the assailant responsible for carrying out this attack was Ayman Mohammed Ghazali, age 41, from Dearborn Heights, Michigan.
Investigators say he died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound after ramming a vehicle into Temple, Israel, and opening fire. No one was hurt. Investigators aren't discussing a motive, but the mayor of Dearborn Heights had this to say.
We do know that the individual had recently suffered devastating and personal losses overseas due to an Israeli airstrike on his family's home in Lebanon, leaving 2 children dead. That grief is real and it's heartbreaking. But let me be clear, That is not an excuse.
The suspect had no previous criminal history. He was a naturalized U.S. citizen from Lebanon. The Pentagon says 5,000 more U.S. troops are now headed to the Middle East as the war with Iran continues. The Department of Defense making that announcement while also confirming 6 service members died when their military refueling plane crashed in Iraq yesterday. Their deaths mark 13 American service members who've died since the U.S. and Israel started this war with Iran 2 weeks ago. And tonight, the president is confirming U.S. strikes hit an island off the coast of Iran in the Persian Gulf, but spared oil infrastructure. The continued violence near a major shipping lane continues to impact our economy. We touched on this last night here on the News at 11, but NBC Connecticut's Andrew Rowan, who covers transportation for us, takes a deeper dive.
We can't talk about economic prices without looking at the cost of diesel. Look at these numbers. We hit $5 a gallon for diesel in Connecticut yesterday, and it shot up from a month ago. You can see it was $3.98. And diesel and oil more broadly has huge implications across our economy. Of course, there's shipping costs and energy prices. Jet fuel is up 58% in the last week. That's tied to the price you pay for your airline ticket. Even groceries is impacted by this war because of the fertilizer supply that moves through the region. Take a listen to the American Farm Bureau Federation.
If this is not resolved soon, we will see a yield reduction. We will see a shift in acreage. And as a result of that, we'll see the knock-on price effects, higher corn prices, potentially different prices for other crops.
Now, as far as the price of crude oil, it has been creeping up to $100 per barrel, and it's hit it a few times. That is the highest since 2022. This is when Russia invaded Ukraine. And the price has remained high, even though the U.S. and other countries have announced they are going to strategically tap their oil reserves. I asked a Connecticut college professor, why is that not having an impact? Take a listen.
We've said it will take us 4 months to release the whole amount. So I think it doesn't make that much of a difference in the market right now. I believe the market is completely driven by their read of how long this war will last and how permanent, therefore, the damage will be.
Something to keep in mind, food and fuel are big players in creating inflation, and that is really dependent on what is happening in the Strait of Hormuz, because this is where 20% of the world's oil supply goes through. And all these little dots here on the screen, that is ship traffic that is at a standstill. So something we're going to be following. All of this is happening in a midterm year, and this administration is very, very closely following the price you pay for everything, including food and fuel. And that professor was saying the longer this war drags on, the longer those higher prices are going to be baked in the system. Back to you.
Andrew Rowan sharing that insight with us. Still ahead here on the News at 11, we are learning more about the man killed in this house explosion in Bloomfield and how dedicated he was to serving his community. Plus the debate over license plate readers as a major city in our state gets ready to add more of them.
And after the record-setting heat we experienced this week, the cool air has returned. It'll stay with us this weekend. Overall, it looks pretty good, but Monday gets stormy again. We'll talk about it next.